This message is for Special Counsel Jack Smith and for Special Counsel David Wise. Um, Aaron William Striplin hyphen High Priest Aaron Top of Levi with the Tabernacle of God, with the seven churches of Asia and with heaven. I wanted to talk to you about what's been going on in the case. As far as the documents is concerned, um, for Jack Smith, I was able to get the documents that was taken out of the 25 rooms um, of the victims, the crime victims of the home invasion. So when you go to each of the 25 people's rooms, there was a series of documents that was taken out of their rooms. These were the United States of America citizenship government identification documents, such as their birth certificates, social security cards, United States of America passports, bank accounts, bank cards, financial statements and transactions and ledgers, um, medical records, hospital records, school transcripts, baptisms, wedding uh, certificates, um, a bunch of um, dental records, um, um, credit reports, um, a bunch of other different um, reports identifying these people as United States of America citizens, housing records, bills, utility bills, phone bills, credit reports, criminal records, driver's license, Department of Motor Vehicles records, um, just a bunch of records. And so publishing records, websites, storage records, um, court transcripts, a bunch of records. All right, so when you go to each person's room, all of the documents regarding who they are is taken by the home invaders. All right. So when the home invaders came into the house, they went into 25 separate rooms. Each of the 25 people living in the house are United States of America citizens. And they went and they took each of the documents that identify these people as American citizens, as United States citizens, and they took 10 sets. Do you hear me? Another thing that they did in the home invasion in the 25 rooms they went in was they took money out of the rooms. So all of the money that they took out of the rooms has been recovered. Okay, so we can explain legibly what they took out of the rooms financially. And then um, out of the 25 rooms, they took car keys to vehicles, to sports car vehicles, luxury car vehicles, sedan vehicles, um, economy car vehicles, SUV vehicles, trucks, RV motorhomes, vans. So they took um, vehicle keys. And then they came in with the rapists that will allow them to play the victim and maim these people in order to get out of the home invasion and in order to get away with carrying their identification to the Olympic game locations where they planned on having their paraplegics use the identifications that they took out of the house um, um, of these 25 people. And so they had a United States treasoner come into the house, and they're going to impersonate the United States Army or branches of the United States military, and that will allow them to have self-induced wounds and to change their appearance a little bit so that they could use these 25 United States of America citizenships. And then they had a torturer come into the room so they can create a demand letter to make it appear as though the Striplin household are responsible for killing their own dad, United States Army veteran Lawrence Theophilus Striplin, when it was serial killer Donald John Trump who killed United States Army veteran Lawrence Theophilus Striplin. And then they had a um, the rapist, terrorist, torturer, and treasoner, and then they had the photographers. One of the photographers were to make it appear as though the family was living in Germany, where they planned on having their paraplegics using the identification that they took out of the 25 rooms and printing the money from the lifestyle that they took out of the 25 rooms in a German bunker. So that German photographer made it appear as though these 25 people was already living in Germany, where they will be on a mission printing to print the money of the lifestyle of the people, the pensions, the retirement funds, the social security income benefits, the supplemental security income benefits, the CD bank account, the settlement claims money, the insurance claims money, the relief sought from the courts, and um, there was a way that they planned on obtaining the identity, and that was to call these American citizens Japanese and to have their paraplegics in Osaka, Japan, on a Nazi military base, impersonating the United States of America U.S. Army base. And on this base, the day that Darren Douglas Striplin and Aaren Striplin was born, they had their paraplegics born on the Osaka, Japan U.S. Army base. And then the up until the point where Darren Douglas Striplin and Aaron William Striplin was able to obtain their passport, the very next day they're called Darren Striplin and Aaron Striplin are called robots, stealing their own ID from the home invaders paraplegics that are identical to them living in Osaka, Japan. And so the photographer, the Japanese photographer, made it appear as though these 25 people were living in Japan. And then there was a terrorist photographer. The terrorist photographer made it appear as though these 25 people were ordering bombs. There's no bombs coming to the United States to blow up the United States of America. But these people are cutting the family members' eyes out, carving the eye out. Do you hear me? Putting something in the eye socket and carving the eyes out of their victims, cutting the ears off of their victims, cutting the bottom and the upper lip, knocking out all 32 teeth, cutting off the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth fingers, cutting off the hand, cutting off the forearm um, and wrist, cutting off the biceps and triceps to the rotator cuff of the arms, cutting off the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth toes, cutting off the feet, cutting off the shins and calves of the legs, and cutting off the thighs of the legs. Do you hear me saying, how are these real eyes? How is this a real tongue? How is this a real voice? How can we have a voice like this? Cutting off the tongue. Chantel Pervos drinking her food through a straw. They got her saying, well, if since you're the U.S. Army, you're supposed to be able to survive off of your own urine. They're feeding her urine. You're supposed to be surviving off of your own feces. They're feeding her feces, saying that they're the Nazi military. And that's what happens to the United States Army. And so That's what this in case is all about. It's about Germans posing as Americans, going into the United States Army house to kill the United States Army for them giving up their former leadership over Germany, and then assuming the identity of the United States Army of 25 soldiers with 10 lives each, a platoon of 225 people that will print over 3 trillion United States dollars that they've embezzled from the United States Army, from the United States Navy, from the retirement plan after going to school, working, and then retiring after the age of 65 to collect your retirement fund, a CD that matures 10 years later, a supplemental security income benefits from Social Security Administration, and Social Security Administration benefits from uh, Social Security income benefits, and then Unical oil refinery um, settlement claims, two of them, and Eastwood Insurance uh, insurance claims, and then relief sought from the courts. And so they're printing all of this money out, and then they're they're spending the money on their companies. They spend it on the Trump organization. They spend it on the Trump hotels. They spend it on the Trump international hotels. They spend it on Burisma. They spend it on Microsoft. They spend it on Sony. They spend it on Sony Entertainment. They spend it on Sega Genesis. They spend it on Nintendo. They spend it on Just Dance games, Xbox, Just Dance games, Nintendo, Just Dance games, Sony PlayStation. They spend it on Omnisoft. They spend it on DevTim. They spend it on Microsoft Heaven. They spend it on Microsoft Tabernacle. They spend it on Trump International Hotels. They spend it on uh, Simmons. They spend it on Jones. They spend it on Barack Obama Presidential Library. They spend it on Michelle Obama books. They spend it on Malia Obama books. They spend it on Barack Obama books. They spend it on Macking Entertainment. And that's their mission. But these people are stealing planes that belongs to the United States of America. They're spending the $3 trillion on a B-2 stealth bomber that they can fly to Russia. But in order to get to train to jump out of this B-2 stealth bomber, they're buying uh, an F-16 plane for the speed of the B-2 bomber, and then they're um, in the maneuvers of the B-2 bomber, and then they're jumping out of Black Hawk helicopters and Apache helicopters to practice on jumping out of the B-2 stealth bomber, and they plan on going to Burisma and in Russia, and they're getting aided by some members of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigations who's worked with the actual Richard Hansen. And these spies are continuing to steal out of the FBI building. And that's what they're stealing. They're stealing the B-2 stealth bomber for Russia, a platoon of 25 United States Army soldiers with 10 lives each for Russia. And we caught them. Would like for you to go to my message board, youtube.com, and that's A as in Adam, A as in Adam, R as in righteousness, E as in eternal, N as in negotiation, S as in savior, T as in trust, R as in righteousness, I as in ink pen, P as in please, L as in loan, I as in ink pen, N as in negotiation. youtube.com, Aaren Striplin. Thank you. It is June 22nd, 2024 at 2:12 p.m. Thank you.